Again, it applies to all marketing, and frankly, you can apply it to your sales organization as well. It's really about turning on, turning off lots of different options. Think of it as your stereo sound system at your house that you probably won't want anybody to touch but you, right? But you still want to play around with it until you get that right sound. Turning up the bass, turning up the treble, playing around with the balance, the equalizer. It's the same thing with your marketing mix. And as time goes on, factors change. And none of us are in a vacuum living in an independent world. Every time we do something, our competitors react and respond. They do something. Our customers do something. A new competitor emerges. A trade association does something. So as that evolves, then we have to change the mix. Look, when I started the company 14 years ago, there was a half dozen firms like mine in the world. And so from a marketing perspective, we didn't have to do shit. Like we didn't have to market the shit out of anybody. We just had to do a good job. And then the vendors would just give us business. Well, you fast forward to today, there are thousands, tens of thousands of companies worldwide that do what we do. And so we do have to market. And we have to market intelligently. And there's a lot more choices in content. If I would have written an article about lead management 10 years ago, I could guarantee it would have been on the first page of Google because maybe 2 other people were writing articles on it. There was nothing else to find. Now, I have to come up with some kind of interactive video, a whole sequence, infographics, charts, content just to promote it. And maybe I'll be able to get it on the first page because there's just so many people writing about the topic. So marketing is always a balance of art and science. And
you say the science part, and that seems like it. You'd mentioned earlier also, it's an experiment. And you have to remember in the experiment that part of that may include turning it off and seeing what happens, not just trying a bunch of different variations of it.
It is. I mean, it's the science part, but it's still the art part too. I mean, you can't underestimate the power of brand and storytelling in marketing to make the human connection. That is still the most important thing. If there's no emotion, people don't buy, they don't get engaged. There's no passion behind the product, no matter what your brand stands for. So that has to be there. But brand and storytelling and emotion without science fails also, because it's an incredibly complex world now for us to reach our customers. So you do need the science to hypothesize, to test, to move money around to different channels and see what's going to work. And what works for your neighbor might not necessarily work for you, just due to a whole host of factors. That's why I've always been so against analyst firms that do benchmarking and say, this is the standard, right? Everyone converts at this funnel. Everyone does not convert at that
right.
rate. It's impossible.
The stats in my industry are terrible. We provide data for marketing campaigns, lists. And so there's a lot of email marketing is what it was traditionally when we first started the company. Email was the big thing. And all the stats you can find out there about email marketing, the benchmarks, are about consumer opt-in newsletter lists. So it's like, here's the people who signed up for LeBron James's newsletter, and here's the open rate, and here's the this rate and the that rate. Like, I'm sorry, but those rates do not apply to cold emails, business to business, or even just business to business newsletter. Like, it's, yes, they create these benchmarks for one situation that so many people don't fit, and then but it becomes this benchmark that people believe I'm supposed to be getting this result, and there's very different situation.
It's so many advertisers and marketing firms are still married to impressions. It's such a worthless metric. It means nothing how many people have seen or potentially have seen your ad. What matters is how many people convert and how many people buy.